The first is site offline. That should speak for itself. If I click on yes and click on apply, and for this tutorial I deliberately will encounter a certain error, which is an error that might occur quite frequently on how to say certain Joomla installations. So I would like to show you that and how you also can solve that. So I click on apply. My site should go offline, but I get an error message. An error has occurred, unable to open the configuration PHP file to write. Which means my configuration is not writable, so every change I do is not accepted. So for that I need to use my FTP application. I go to my certain folder, 99% will be in HTTP docs or an equivalent folder where your Joomla website is in. In my case, I use a subdomain, and in there I go to my files, and here I have the so-called configuration.php file, and what I need to do is I need to make it writable. For those a bit more familiar with certain things, you can see the permissions and you can see that it's not writable for certain groups. So what I can do is I can in FileZilla I can ask for the file permissions, and in this case the numeric value needs to be 666, or I can do that by clicking the right column and clicking on OK, and if you saw that, it has now changed it into writable. I go back to my configuration, I click on yes and I click on apply, and now you can see the error has gone and the global configuration details have been updated. Of course, putting your site offline, what is going to happen is that if I preview, the site is down for maintenance, please check back again soon. This message can be changed by using this one. I will turn it back online and I refresh my page, and here's my site again. The site name, of course, what your site is named, you can change that to anything you want. The default what you see is what you get editor. Joomla comes with one, that is TinyMCE, and there are certain Joomla editors available through the famous extensions.joomla.org website, and should you have more what you see is what you get editors, you can change those in the list. Sometimes you need to put in, say, for instance, Flash code. You want to run a movie in your website. Then I advise to put the editor on no editor, and then you can work with plain HTML without having a chance that your editor might clean up code. So should you have to paste regular HTML codes, in your global configuration, put the default editor on editor no and save your settings. The list length, as the yellow tag shows you, it sets the default length of lists in the control panel for all users. Where might that be convenient for? For instance, in Article Manager, you could have several hundreds of articles, and that list length is now set on showing only 20, and I must admit that I find 20 a bit how to say, a bit of a low amount. So I go to global configuration again. I set my list length at, say, 50. I save my settings. And what happens then if I go to my article manager, it doesn't show 20, but it shows at least 50. Now there are only 43, so uh, but that is what the list length is for. Going back to the global configuration again, the feed length. Joomla comes with RSS feeds, and if you want to show those feeds on your list, um, there are only 7 in here, so a list length of 10 is sufficient for this one. But should you have RSS feeds by the hundreds, you can set the RSS feeds list length to the amount that you choose. The next, the metadata settings, global site meta description. For those that are a bit familiar, this is what Google likes. So here you can write a little description for your website, and with that you can enter certain keywords that belong to your website and what you want to um, how to say to have in your website. Very important to do, especially Google likes to see a good description with fitting keywords. Um, they go together with the search engine optimization settings. Um, this is a quite complicated matter, and I will deal with that in a later chapter where I will show that you can set Joomla using search engine friendly URLs. We will do the settings in a few, but I will also show you that there are possibly third-party components for that. You can also set show title meta tags on no and the author meta tags on no. I always leave them on yes. I see no reason to put them on no. Again, just a short overview on the SEO, again, search engine optimizations. Very important for Google and Yahoo search engine rankings. Um, do I want search engine friendly URLs? Yes, I do. If I click on apply, again, the details have been updated. I go back to my regular website. Should I click a certain page, you can now see that it doesn't show all kinds of difficult URLs, but it shows a nice little Joomla overview. But it also still shows my index.php. To remove that index.php, we need to use the Apache mod rewrite. Very important that your web server supports that. I will click this on yes, and I click on apply. And there's one very important thing to do. I go back to my FileZilla, because if I now refresh my page, as you can see, the index.php is gone, but I get a huge error, an error 404, which means the page has not been found. That is because when you use the Apache mod rewrite, there's this little exclamation. Apache users only, so beware if you're on a Windows server. And it also states rename htaccess.txt to .htaccess before activating. As you can see, if you do not do that, your website gives errors, and you don't want that for your visitors. So I'm in my Joomla folder through FTP, and here I can see the htaccess.txt. and I need to rename it, I can do so by clicking on the name once again. I remove the .txt and I put a dot in front of it. The dot in front of it is very important. Basically, that is that the file is invisible. And as you can see, now it has changed. I will refresh my page now, and we have a running website again, showing friendly URLs. It's also called SEF, search engine friendly. Again, should you want to have good rankings at Google using search engine friendly URLs through the search engine optimization settings, it's nearly a must to do so. And as you can see, the website now shows all kinds of nice, simple little URLs, and this is all done automatically by the built-in features that Joomla gives you. Um, Again, we will deal with another possibility, and that is using a third-party Ceph tool. There are several available, and those you can configure a bit more, but we'll come to that at a later stage of these tutorials. I will now set these back again. If you set it back, there's no need to rename your htAccess again. That is just a one-time action. But again, very important, if you put those settings there, you need to rename the .txt as shown. I will now apply my settings again. We will now commence to the next tab, that's the system.